rich man's gold. Oh, that's me.
Ladies and gentlemen, gather around for a unique look into the world of custom motorcycling. We've gathered some of the industry's top builders and fabricators on this stage to show you their skills live and in person. Watch as they chop, grind, and weld their creations into existence right before your very eyes. Feel free to ask questions at any time directly to your host, Pat Jansen. The doors to the shop are open, so pull up a stool, kick back, and welcome to the Grease and Gears Garage.
And clapping. Perfect, perfect. Hey, progressive girl, real cute, but this clap, that was a tennis clap. That's a tennis clap, that doesn't count, I saw you. All right, guys, Grease and Gears Garage, we're Facebook Live on this, and we appreciate you guys being here as well. We are just mechanics that bring our tools out, then we invite our friends on stage in a garage environment, and we invite you here to kind of give you a little piece of what it's like to be in one of our garages, doing something that we have to do all the time as we build custom motorcycles. And so we want to inspire you, whether you're riding a dirt bike or a bagger, to go back and say, hey, I could give my, bike a little extra flavor if I kind of tweaked what they were doing. It is Facebook Live, so anything that you see us do here and you want to relook at it, you can go to cyclesource.com for CycleSource Magazine. It's on there. It's on YouTube, Grease and Gears Garage. It's on motorcycleshows.com, jmpcycles.com. So go and you can find these any place. We're doing this at all 7 of the Progressive International Motorcycle Shows. So there's lots of content out there because we use different builders at every show. And you can also check out War Pony, which is the bike that we're going to be working on a little more here today, some pieces for the bike that we're building from the first show to the last show into a complete motorcycle. So without further ado, we have RJ Powell from Cutthroat. No, it's Cutting Edge Customs. I always call it Cutthroat Customs, and it's kind of like when you're playing around drinking and you say ossifer instead of officer, and then you actually get pulled over and you're sober and you say ossifer, how fast, and then he makes you it's not fun. So anyway, we got RJ Powell at Cutting Edge Customs. RJ.
How y'all doing?
I know that you're well rested because we woke him up from a nap. Chris took a hammer and a piece of metal and woke him up. I know he's well rested. What are you going to be doing for us?
Waking me up was actually an understatement. I probably jumped about 4 feet in the air, but
yeah, you did.
What we're doing today, we're jumping on the War Pony here, and a lot of you, if you got a tank for your bike, and whether you bought the tank or it's an old takeoff tank, whatever, and the filler neck's not in the location that you want it. So you just basically cut it out and move it. We could cut this one out, reutilize it, put it wherever we want it in the tank, fill this hole in, cut a new hole in where we want it, weld it in. Today, actually, what we're doing,
It's like a magic wand.
it's magic. We have this aircraft style, really cool, kind of race themed bung for the filler, and a new cap for it. It's pretty slick, you just kind of quarter turn it, cap comes out, real nice steel bung. It's a little oversized for quick fill, what have you, but it's a cool theme. It's going to fit with the bike real well, and we're actually going to put it in the center of the tank here. And what we're going to do first, we're going to get rid of this old factory bung. Several ways you can go about doing that. You could drill a hole beside it if you've got a jigsaw or one of the really nice little air saber saws. You could cut around that. Hole saw is about the easiest way. Now, if this thing was open in the bottom, we didn't have a bottom in it, we wouldn't need the pilot bit. We could go in and use the old bung actually for a pilot. What we're going to do here, actually just going to take an old piece of strap. Want to kind of grind out, get some metal here. I'm going to put a mark on this. Chris is helping me out here. We're going to zip this guy off. And thank you, Pat.
Well, you're welcome. I was using that doing autographs.
You are worth
earlier.
every dollar you are paid.
I am worth.
I'm
getting
paid.
paid.
I can't believe you're setting me up for that.
So anyways, what we're going to do, we're just going to take a piece of scrap from the shop. You can do it with an old piece of sheet metal or whatever. We're going to just cut it to length, and we're going to go across here and kind of make a bridge. And that way we can actually drill a hole in that and center this. You can do it. I've done it several times before. I know you have. You fight with it. It's easier. You don't end up with a hole that it looks like you snuck out back, got the beaver that hangs out in the stream next door and let him chew a hole in it.
Yeah, every time I think that's going to be quicker about later.
Yeah, you pay for it.
I'll pay for it because then you got a lot more finish work to do.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here real quick.
Sparks are cool. What's wrong with her? I'm looking at you, lady. You don't look happy. You wanted to go to the bridal show, and he watched the motorcycle show? Are you guys married?
We definitely need to change this tip out.
Too late.
Quick for me.
Well, maybe. If she wants to go to the bridal show, you need to check yourself, my friend. She's looking. My next wedding, I'm on my second marriage.
I wonder why.
I'm good at it. But my wife's on her third. I'm her third. And she loves me. She says, "Oh, third's a charm." And I'm like, "Well, I kind of like you. I can't wait till see what number 3 looks like. It's going to be good."
It's comments like it's too late.
It's too late. Thank God for women that married down, though.
It's a little warm.
It's going to be TIG welding. We put this screen up here for 2 reasons. One, it's sexy, like a go-go dancer dancing behind it. See that? You don't think that's sexy? This is not turning you on at all, is it, sir? Well, I thought he went.
I must.
And I thought he was going.
One rod, you got rod.
Anyway, we put that up there so you don't see the weld. What's that?
There's no sexiness to you dancing ever.
Ever. No, I'm not a dancer. If my parents had pushed me, I could have been Michael Jackson. We're both white. That's the only reason I figure that. Too soon? That's not too soon. It's too soon for Prince jokes, maybe. Anyway.
I noticed, man. I know you have some education behind you. You actually have a degree.
Yep.
What's your degree in?
I have a master's degree in theology. And I did my doctoral work in anthropology. My mom is so proud I build motorcycles for a living.
But I've heard him throw his thing down. He is a proper Southern gentleman. He can lay down.
Yeah, man.
And it's Sunday.
It's Sunday. You want me to go ahead preaching?
We're kind of in church.
Lord, we bring ourselves to you. No, we can't do that. We could sing though. Some glad morning when this life is sorrow fly away. I do talk funny because I'm from the South. But I tell you what, that's harsh. He's from
Pittsburgh, baby.
Pittsburgh. Duke's got that. He's got a harsh accent, and he's got a beard and mustache. You can't see when he's talking. It's scary. It looks like this. Look at that. See? But I get a feeling why I know why you got all that hair, because you can't see your face. We'll put this up here so that you don't get flash burn. Welding light is very much like a sunburn. A lot of guys will close their eyes and then open them thinking that protects the corneas. Doesn't. Your eyelids are not thick enough to protect your corneas from that light. Always wear protection over your face when you're welding, or when you're around welding, don't look into it.
So we got our strap welded on here. Basically, it's just a spot for our pilot hole, and allow us to get started to kind of hold everything, get cutting and everything.
I'm just teasing you.
Now, there's really no measurement to it. You can set and get super technical and measure and find your center points. I literally take a good guess at it, kind of use this.
You're doing a really good job, RJ.
Well, thank you.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry. Here.
Now tell them what you got there. What's that?
This is just a center punch. You can pick these up, any place that sells fab equipment, Harbor Freight, Napa probably has them.
If you do anything around the house where somebody is going to expect you to drill a hole in a specific spot, even in a wall, one of those things is, you know,
Worth
typically
its
what
weight
you're
in
going to do
gold.
is you're going to get a Phillips screwdriver and a hammer, and you're going to try to mark the mark. Just get a center punch. It's much easier. They're cheap. Anyway, $12. They're spring loaded. You push it down, and it leaves just a little mark where you're going to drill. And in most cases, it's even going to give you a nice little pilot to hold the tip of your bit when you go to drill. So.
That's a nice bit you got there.
Oh, that okay. Now I know why. Here, I got bits.
I was going to say, it might be easier just to take that center punch and knock a hole in there
I
instead of that dull-ass drill bit.
I thought you got that bit out of this kit. I was like,
No.
wow, those bits are horrible.
You know, sometimes we grab tools real quick on the way to a show and find out that we don't actually have those tools.
This is going to work much better.
Come on, put some heat to it, Elvis. There you go.
Yeah, these should actually drill really well because I actually stopped at Lowe's and picked them up on the way here.
Oh, yeah, brand new. All right, we're about to, now the reason we've done that again, if you're just joining us on Facebook Live, RJ is going to cut this filler out and relocate it to another spot for our War Pony bike, and he's going to do it with he's going to cut this out with a hole saw. And we've just got a brace and a pilot hole so that the hole saw is nice and square and even and does what a hole saw is supposed to do.
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to lean to the sides to get.
Lean the other side away from your microphone.
He'll turn it down.
It's going to end what bad. There goes our pilot.
Now we're going to do it the way we told you not to.
Well, yeah, we are. I'm trying to be super tight with it, so we're going to actually hit it with the air saw and go around and just zip it out.
That was a little scary.
A little bit.
Were you looking for the air saw?
Yeah. That's what I was looking for.
I got one, Chris.
Oh, he's got one.
I come prepared.
Well, we know you, so we didn't assume that.
In all fairness, he brought his own hole saw, too.
He did.
Right? Just so you realize.
And sometimes when you get into these tanks, there will be a,
He did a great job. He's really good with that tool.
see, we have the piece loose there. Now there's a tube in there that's actually a vent tube.
It's
So
right, the fuel pump hole is right below it, though. Isn't it?
yeah. So we're going to have to get that out of there.
I think we can do it from the bottom. Oh no, it's on the wrong side. I'm sorry.
Hey, while you're waiting for this, Jackie is.
Is Jackie waving at me? Jackie,
Hi.
tell the good people what
Take
Flo's
that
Chop
out.
Shop has in store for them today.
Thanks, Pat. I appreciate it. Hey, friends, if you're just now joining us, these are our good buddies from Grease and Gears Garage doing that awesome work on that tank, learning new skills up there and how to customize your bike. So stick around. They're not done. But I just wanted to jump in real fast and remind everybody that we're only open for another couple more hours. We're only open tonight till 5 o'clock. But we do have some great agents on hand over here. If you'd like to learn how you can save more money simply by bundling all of your insurance needs together and making this switch on over to Progressive, we'd love to chat your insurance needs with you and show you why we are number one. 1 out of 3 of you has an insurance card from us in your pocket. We are ready to make even more converts today. Come on over, friends. It's absolutely free, and we got more freebies and goodies. When you come get a quote, I'm going to throw in a hat. I'm going to throw in a cup of Nitro Brew coffee. Come on over.
Key?
No, it's good. I'm good. Just plug it in.
All right, thank you, Jackie. This is one of the things when you're customizing a motorcycle that you have to consider. You have to know whether or not you need a vented tank or a non-vented tank. A lot of times people will swap tanks out on bikes and they put the wrong gas cap on them because they're not vented cap, and they wonder why their bike cuts off all the time. And yep, so this one has a vent in it that we're getting out. There you go.
All right, so we've got a hole in the tank, and you could, if you were just swapping caps and wanted this style cap, we could clean this hole up and put this back in here. What we're going to actually do, we're going to clean this hole up, make a little template real quick out of some tape, transfer it to a piece of sheet metal here, cut out a circle and lay that circle in there, and then weld that back in. And eventually we'll get that tacked in today. We'll get come back, metal finish, all of that, and it'll be like it was never there. We're going to get that piece made, get it tacked in, then we're going to come over here, we're going to find our location, and that could be done by setting it on the bike, eyeballing it, figuring out exactly where we want it, get a hole center drilled, and we're actually, I think today, none of the hole saws that we have are this particular cap. The hole saws are either too small or too big. So we're going to trace this line, come back in, probably 1/8 of an inch, draw a nice line there, and then follow that line around with this small saber saw. And that way we can be more precise.
I might as well sit
and
down.
we'll get that set into place, and we'll get a cap in this thing.
There you go.
He does.
So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to actually take this zip wheel here. It can be done with a right angle grinder. We have one here, a regular right angle grinder, like this down here with a flap wheel. You can clean it up at the top. You can come back around. You can clean up with one of these deburring bits. They're very dangerous. They'll fill your shoes with metal, actually, most of the time.
And they will move a lot of metal out of a hole.
They move metal really fast.
Technically, yes, because you're not supposed to wear tennis shoes in a shop. But
All right, you should have boots on.
Boots, yeah.
Like these
a man.
fine Red Wing boots, like a
a
damn
man.
adult man. Not like we're going skateboarding later.
Well,
Not me, I'm wearing boots. Never could quite get the hang of the skateboard myself. It's kind of like a weeble though. I was fat. I've always been fat. Yeah, it's something. I got a weird gravity thing. It's like all those planets orbiting around me all the time. They get in my way. Where the hell have you been? Did what to your breast? It's back there. I've been trying to keep people from drinking it. I hid it. I have. Still got some left in it, though.
So there's several ways to go about making a template here. I mean, you could measure it, lay it all out on a piece of metal, draw it out with a pen, whatever. A lot of the old school hot rod guys back in the day would use just tape to make their templates. You can actually just...
It's also called the dirty finger technique.
Yes. Don't do this when you just walked into the shop from getting your nails done or a manicure, pedicure like Mark does from time to time. Because
you got to take care of yourself.
Because it's not going to work.
Pretty on the outside.
So basically, you just get some tape on it like that. You know, we've all got dirty hands, so we just kind of do this. And what that dirt's doing is actually making a line. We can actually come back with the tape, and if you're real careful when you pull it off, you'll actually have a template of what size you need that material to be.
That's one of the things that if you'll just go find a shop that you can hang out in and just kind of observe for a few hours a week or something, it's not the big things that they're going to show you necessarily. It's the little things like that, like using tape and a dirty hand. It's save you so much time rather than overthinking the process of creating a template for a hole. You know what I mean? If you've never done that kind of stuff, you can really overthink it.
And then I just always go back in. It makes it easier to see. I just go back in with a Sharpie and hit it. If you guys were here earlier watching, Chris and I was back here behind the scenes a little bit. You can see on this tank, there's a little half moon shape right here. And we're going to need a piece of filler in there. We were back here working on it.
No idea.
It was here just a second ago. Here it is,
Jeff. I see
here
you.
It is.
You're right there.
Yeah, we were back there working on this piece, and the guys, they give me a hard time when we're all working in the garage because I spend a little more time. I mean, I broke out the hand files on this and everything, but you want to get in there and get real precise. Let's see, it goes this way. You can tie up a lot of time in making little pieces like that, but this piece started out, we did the same thing. We put some tape over it. Chris and I actually didn't have dirty hands at that time. We were actually back there rubbing the stage, trying to get dirt on our hands to make it, but same way. It works really good. I mean, I've used it on big panels on cars, filling quarter panels and stuff, and so it works really well. So I'm going to jump over here in the vise. I'm going to get this thing cut out. Come back, we'll get that welded up for you.
What are you going to use to cut that?
I'm actually going to cut this out
with a nibbler?
With this.
Oh, okay.
We can use those. These things are really, really great, especially when you're doing small pieces like that. Actually, we cut this piece out with these two pair right here. And just, I always mark them a little big, cut them out, and then kind of hold them there and work at them, file at them.
That's your preferred way of doing it with this? It's easier than a bandsaw for you, that kind of stuff?
Correct.
Come on.
Plus, I don't have an actual metal cutting bandsaw in my shop.
Right on.
I actually mainly cut with a plasma cutter. If it's sheet metal, so I don't harden it, I'm cutting with one of these, a shear or a right angle grinder. And I don't use these guards a lot, which I'm not telling everybody to take these guards off because you don't want to. I actually utilize an 8-inch small, I think it's a .40 thickness cutoff wheel. It's abruptly named the Wheel of Death in my shop because they do come apart and go across the shop.
And I do the same thing, and I don't suggest you do it, but you sure can move some metal. You put an 8-inch disc on one of these suckers, take that thing off, but you can see where your fingers are. You just want to be real careful. It's a really bad idea. Don't do this at home. The reason he was talking about it, he kind of breezed over it. One of the reasons why you using a plasma cutter to cut metal is great. It's very quick, it's efficient, one of the reasons why you might not want to use a plasma cutter or even a cutoff wheel is because if you're going to be shaping that metal later, if you're going to be trying to form it with a hammer or with a English wheel, however, if you're going to be planning on stretching or shrinking that metal, you will have hardened that edge in from the heat of the plasma, and that changes the molecular structure of the metal and makes it much harder to shape. It's not so if you're going to shape both sides, one side is going to shape completely differently than the other because now you've created a different kind of metal. That's science. I don't know what all that's called in science. Well, it's metallurgy, but I don't know how they talk about heat transfer and molecular processes and stuff. I mean, call Evan Favaro at Speakeasy Motor. He'll bore the crap out of you with a dissertation on blah, blah, blah. Jackie wants to talk again because she only has 2 more hours to talk.
That's right. I was just going to say, this is it, friends. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. We've had an awesome weekend with all of you. Woo, has it been busy here in Cleveland. Not a big surprise because there's an awful lot of motorcyclists here. Ohio, largest motorcyclists per capita in the entire United States. Speaking of, since there are so many motorcyclists, don't forget, you want to learn how you can save money, bundling your insurances together and go with the hometown hero. That's us at Progressive Motorcycle Insurance. 1 out of 3 of you has Progressive in your pocket, but we're ready to make more converts over here. We've got some great agents over here right now that would love to show you how to save money by bundling your insurance. I'm going to give you a free hat. Come get a free quote. I'm going to give you a free hat. Come on over.
My nerves.
All right, so what we got here, we got our piece cut out, and it's roughed into shape. So, you know, you could drop this down in there. You're going to be all day trying to get it out. So I'm actually going to strike an arc here, and I'm going to weld this right to the center and just kind of stick it. So we actually have something to hold it here, and when Chris actually can hold this while I get it tacked into place, because essentially we want this to be pretty much flush with everything else. That's, you know, the entire tank itself. So you don't want to like lay a patch on top of it. I mean, you could weld all around it, and then you're going to have to fill around it. We don't like using a lot of filler, so we're actually going to make it so it's as flush as possible.
I'm going to tell you about this bottle. This guy's screaming. Don't just walk around with a bottle like that. This is the kind of friend I am. Jeff Nager does the JMP Cycles Ultimate Builder Custom Bike Show. I'm from Iowa. And I had given him a bottle of Templeton Rye, which is from Templeton, Iowa, last year, and he liked it. So I every once in a while will bring this as his Christmas present, or Hanukkah present, or Kwanzaa. I'm not picking whatever. Don't call me about any of that. But anyway, this is what you get when I give you a Christmas present. If you don't come get it the first day, it leaks right out of the top. It's terrible. The way they design these bottles, you can't keep it in here. But anyway, Jeff, your Christmas present's here. Most of it anyway. It's right here in the bottle. The rest of it's someplace else. It's in a river someplace by now, but
Thank you, sir. So now we actually have something to hold it so we don't drop it in the tank. Now comes a little bit, this is the monotonous part, because you know, the better you get this to fit, the better the quality of the tank's going to be when it's done. So I want to kind of lay this in here, spin it around until I get right where it is with the way I made the template, and then we're just going to start filing away.
And again, RJ is going to TIG weld this. So RJ, why is it important that this fit really nicely, other than you always want things to fit nicely?
Well, with TIG welding, you know, tungsten inert gas, it's a more controllable weld. You can control your heat. You can do this MIG. I mean, you could do this stick. you're going to have leaks. I mean, you know, it's
going to be ugly.
And it's going to be really ugly and warped up. MIG years ago, and I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I've had a TIG in my shop now for about 16 years. But before that, I was doing this. I was building gas tanks, oil tanks, what have you. I was using a MIG, and I've gotten very proficient at it. And the MIG works out really, really well. But you still do chase a lot of leaks.
And with
a MIG.
With a MIG welder, you can, if you have a gap between the pieces that you're doing, you can fill that gap in with a MIG welder.
It's a no-no, but you can do it.
It's a no-no, but you can do it. You always want to have your stuff as tight as possible. With a TIG welder, it doesn't like gaps. You're not going to be filling gaps with your TIG welder.
You know, one of these shows we got to give Mark a microphone.
No. Chris wants to give Gimli a microphone at one of the shows. I think that would be a really bad idea. Mark back here was in the Lord of the Rings. He was Gimli, carried the axe. He wants me to remind you, however, he was not a hobbit. He was a dwarf king. He doesn't have big, hairy feet.
Hey, I don't know about him carrying that axe, but I know he's been sharpening one ever since you started calling him that.
He loves the nickname Gimli, so as you see him around the show, just throw that out. Chris says he's been sharpening an axe ever since I started calling him that. He's going to get into character again.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're almost there, baby.
Here in a little bit, we are actually on this very stage going to be giving away the prizes for the JMP Cycles Ultimate Builder Custom Bike Show. So you'll want to come back for that. I believe that happens at 4 o'clock, 4:30. 4:30? 4 o'clock. And so come back at 4 and you can see which one of these bikes was selected by the builders, because it's peer judging, was selected by the builders to take home the big monies. You seem really disinterested in this process. Yeah.
Hey, keep putting the screen in front of them.
Oh, the screen's in front of them? You're supposed to, you got to get behind that screen and act like a go-go dancer, man. That's what that's for. It's like, I don't know that it's go-go dancing. I really don't know how a go-go dancer dances. Not like that. I don't think anybody really, I don't think you could consider that dancing as much as moving. Of course, dance is just moving rhythmically your body parts. For me, it is akin to a seizure. You've just joined us on Facebook Live, or you're just wandering through. We've got RJ Powell from Cutting Edge Customs, and we are, for the War Pony bike that we're building on stage over the 7-show series, we are relocating the filler to the center of the tank. And so right now he's cut the original filler out and is fixing that hole, going to plug that hole, and then is going to cut another hole where he can weld in the bung for our new filler. And that's what we're doing.
Getting a little low. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, there's not really much rhyme or reason to what we're doing. I mean, we just cut a big hole in it, we're filling it, and then we're going to cut another hole in it.
Right next to it.
Right next to it.
It's like being in the Army.
But this goes back again. We said time and time again since the beginning of this build, when you get the idea of the bike that you're building in your head, you get that image in your head, it doesn't matter if that gas tank has the filler neck in the wrong spot. You don't just settle for that. You don't settle for the fact that it was one of those spin-on type that's going to stick up. This is going to end up being a bike that we run at Bonneville. So we want a nice, flat, low-profile filler neck that's going to take gas quick, and we're going to put it right in the middle. So that's what you have to do. You have to go through the steps to make the bike that you had the picture in your head of.
Right on.
And we're getting close.
I'd say that's good.
It's really good that you had that stick on there, huh?
I learned over the years.
Or then you're just shaking your piggy bank. We do have this on Facebook Live. We get a great audience around the country for it. But as a result of that as well, it's recorded. So you can go to motorcycleshows.com, cyclesource.com, jmpcycles.com, Chick-fil-A.com. No, not Chick-fil-A.com. But you can go online and you can see all of the different YouTube. You can see all of the different segments that we've done of Grease and Gears Garage. And go back and look. We had Chris Richardson from LA Speed Shop House of Machines out in Los Angeles with us one time, and he narrowed a tank for us. We had Evan Favaro from Speakeasy Motors, lead fabricator for Orange County Choppers. He built a fuel tank for us. What did you do for it? You did exhaust. Oh, that's right. We've done the front end swap. So you can go back and look. It's an amazing.
I've been thinking about that too. In the 2.5 years we've been doing Grease and Gears Garage now, the people that have been on this stage, incredible.
Oh yeah, a lot of talent.
Paul Yaffe, Billy Lane, Aaron Green,
Corey Ness,
Brian Clock,
Sugar Bear,
RJ Powell.
Right.
I put you out there. Mark's the one saying ugly things about you.
Right on, Jay. That motherfucker's right on.
Did I get you?
No.
You come to sit with him and he walks away. If I wouldn't work, I'd come sit with
Do
you.
we have any? Okay, we're all high. That'll work perfect because we can work our way around.
You said call you? Okay, I will. Who got to ride the Ferris wheel since they've been here? Anybody? Nobody? You didn't ride the Ferris wheel? That's not your thing? Those. Yeah, the reason that's in here is because the fella that owned this building,
Hold it.
his wife wanted a Ferris wheel, so he bought that Ferris wheel,
Low,
put it in here.
super low.
It didn't really fit, so he cut a hole in the roof, built a glass enclosure around it. Yeah, they used to. This was during World War II, this was a tank manufacturing facility. So it's, but anyway, that Ferris wheel was a gift to his wife, and it didn't fit. That's a true story. Yeah, it's a true story. No, it's kind of sweet that he went to those lengths to get the Ferris wheel. I'd have told her she's out of luck. Yeah, get her a dog or a purse. But a Ferris wheel, that's a pretty impressive gift. That Ferris wheel moves too. Everybody that I've talked to that gets on it says that thing's really fast. Says you notice it going up, but you really notice it when you're coming down, the sense of speed on that thing. Hey, grab that microphone. I want to ask you questions. He turns it on. He is our human switch. Tell us about your shop. Why you're here?
So we're here because, well, we're friends of the show. Like I know Pat and Chris and Jeff Nager from the Ultimate Builder Championship. We're out of Middletown, Delaware, and we do what everybody else here does. We do it for the love of it. We don't make any money at all doing it. We travel the country and we just kind of come hang out and check out what's going around and like stuff like this. Like it's cool for me as a builder because like even that trick about just using the tape and a handprint, I didn't know that. So
see,
it's really cool to pick up on tips and tricks from different builders and doing different styles.
Yeah. And what's the name of your shop?
It's Legion Cycle Works.
And what's your website?
LegionCycleWorks.com.
That makes it easy. I never understand these companies. It'll be like, XYZ Plumbing, and their web address is 3649170humphump.com. It's like, oh, okay, I'll remember. That's catchy. I'll remember that. I'll remember that for sure. So, but I had to learn that the hard way too. So now, you don't build. You are one of the builders that is not
Done welding for me?
specifically an American V-twin builder. What are the bikes that you like building most?
So honestly, I don't have a preference, and honestly, I grew up riding crotch rockets. So for me, like that more forward riding position is just kind of more what I'm used to. And honestly, I just haven't made the transition into Harleys because I'm broke. Like I can't afford to buy like a $5,000-$10,000 bike and then be like, oh, you know what? Like let me cut that in half.
Yeah.
So we get like the $100 bikes from like a swap meet that caught on fire, and like you're trading beer for bikes and stuff like that, and then just to kind of modify it. So it's not like a choice. It's just kind of
Yeah, but that's cool, man.
what I want and what my wallet want are two totally different things.
RJ, what we got?
So what we got our filler piece tacked in, and I don't know if you was watching. I just could have done it with a set of dikes. These were laying here, so it had a cutter on it. So I just clipped off the rod that I was using to actually hold it. So, we're not going to do much work to that right now because what we're going to do, we're actually going to start figuring out where we want to put our filler now. So. You got an idea? I mean, this is your baby.
I mean, pretty much the same. Just where that's going to sit like that. Let's take.
So yeah, let's stick it on the bike and check it out. We'll get an idea where we're going to go. And this is where having your buddies in the shop when you're doing this and setting it up and trying to figure things out, because you can all sit back and look at it, because it's easier to figure it out now than it is after you put it in to go back and redo it.
You can redo it, but you can only cut and patch so many holes in a tank before you no longer have a tank. You have a system of patches.
That's kind of one of the awesome parts is like there are no rules. So like they were just talking about, like it sounds like a cool idea in your head, and then you put it together and you put it on a bike and you step back and you look at it, you're like, and it changes, it kind of like evolves. So.
Yeah. And it's tough because most of us are one-man shops for the most part. And so, when you're working on something and you don't have another pair of eyes to help you. So it is good to have buddies come over and kind of, all right, this is the direction. And, sometimes you got to trust your buddies. But, it's always good
Plus, this gets old. Hey, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
Hey, baby, come here for a minute.
They don't care. And they're
Yeah.
like,
What?
Yeah, it looks great. It looks great.
Yeah, 80%. Yeah, he says, hey, baby, and Heather comes out of the back. What? I don't care where you put the gas cap.
I have things to do, too.
Yeah.
That's exactly the answer that comes out of her mouth.
My old lady just is like, I don't build motorcycles. That's her answer. I don't build motorcycles. I'm like, but you don't have an opinion? And I used to ask her that, but you don't have an opinion? Now I just know she doesn't build motorcycles. She has an opinion, and it's about me.
I learned a while ago too. Like after you hear, like, oh, I don't care, or I don't know. So she picks the colors for it, and I kind of just do the rest of it.
There you go.
Look at the bottom of it.
That line's off, right?
Yeah.
Looks good from my house.
Guys, look good.
It looked a lot like he was holding a gun.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Sing a song, Elvis.
You want me to dance for you?
Please, dear God, no.
So that's where you think you want to put it, huh?
We think.
Those aren't the friends you want to invite over.
So we could actually cut that out and drop this in here and flush it. Or with this line, we can drop back in and it can actually have it set in and do a
Yeah, we don't want to flush it.
We don't want to flush it.
Because I know you'll be here for 45 minutes getting every little part of that.
It's got to be perfect.
Should we get Austin Andrella up here to help?
No.
Could you imagine me and
Where is
Austin
he?
trying to put this
That
together?
guy, man, he made a
Hey,
square
wherever,
seat pan.
bring Austin and Abby,
Yeah.
and Austin and RJ can sit over there. We'll have Abby weld it.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys would be done before we would be. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to go back in. I'm going to do a line in here, and I'm going to cut this hole a little small. We're going to file it out with this because it'll go quick. And then we're just going to make this so it just sets in, then we'll burn it in there. So, you always got to measure 3 times and cut once. At least that's what I've always been told. We're looking at like 3/16 of an inch. So.
Oh, that's what you use that for. I thought those were paperweights.
That's right. You don't use these.
Inside there.
Where's those hole saws?
So it's fingers width. I'm bad about measuring. I don't measure a lot of stuff.
So this is where I'm going to kind of freehand a line around this.
I'm a guesstimator.
Wow, this is a crooked line.
It's a nice hole saw set you have, sir.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's like a little too small, but then the next one's a little too big.
But you're going to file around it, right?
The outside of it.
Hey, that would have worked. That would have worked. Where were you 5 minutes ago?
I was getting this out because I was like, well, we got a tool.
Somebody throw them drill bits away.
No, don't, because when RJ takes his drill bits home, those are the only ones we got.
I might have to leave you this.
We need a sharpener. There's our sharpener.
It's not the sharpness. They're sharp. They're just soft.
Soft.
So the minute you
mush, yeah.
Yeah.
What brand is it? Joe Schmo's Drills and Yogurt Emporium drill bits.
Mitsahagwa.
What's that?
Mitsahagwa.
Mitsahagwa? And I went out to dinner. Oh, I can't remember. I've lost his name. He had yogurt tattooed on his. What's his name? Ferguson, guys.
How many of you guys ever work in a body shop? Any body shop guys here? I worked in a body shop for a long time, and one time the boss came through. He was mad because the shop was losing money. He said, that's it. I'm moving all you guys to flat rate. And we were all like, because the difference is when you work hourly rate, doesn't matter how much stuff you get done in an hour. You work flat rate, all of a sudden.
The job says they look it up in a book, and it says to do X job, you get 3 hours. So if you do it in an hour and a half, you still get paid for 3 hours. If it takes you 6 hours, you get paid for 3 hours. The government tank project. Union. Real quick here. Board? Okay.
Well, all right.
The reason I brought that up is because we were joking with RJ earlier that we knew he'd never worked a flat rate job ever.
Yeah.
Because he's there with the file going, I get this a little bit more perfect. My boss would have lost his mind. What do you mean more perfect? I'm losing money.
Well, and it's you can tell now because you're your own boss. You can take as much time as you want.
I can.
And so you really are just concerned about the overall cost of the job. But I've had to work flat rate before, and once you've done that, you can't stop yourself. Every minute is ticking away. You're like,
flat rate's the devil, and it can be your friend at the same time. Yeah. I worked flat rate for years when I was still a motorcycle mechanic, and yeah, I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing today. So we got the hole cut, and you can see it's still a little too small. So I normally would sit here with a really nice hand file set and file this. I don't want to bore you guys that long, so we're going to bring out this guy, clean it up real quick and get this thing set in there.
And I would like to point out that while he would have taken a lot of time with a hand file set, he's going to do it this way, and it's going to have the exact same result. Just saying. Just saying.
We use this Eastwood bag for everything. I love this. I wonder if they know that it has so many different uses.
Yeah. It's probably been a pillow at some point.
That's
where we're back to the flat rate hourly thing.
Yeah.
The hourly guys will look at that as a pillow.
Yep. I got in shrapnel right there. You are catching up. I know. Yours is so much longer than hers even. Yeah, right, exactly.
2 hours to move a gas cap 2 inches.
Exactly.
It's the little things that take the time.
They take time. Nobody appreciates.
And if you're just now joining us over here at the Progressive Parlor and Main Stage, our friends from Grease and Gears Garage are working away on that custom tank up there. But over here in the parlor, we're going to be shutting it down in about another hour and a half. That's all you've got. So tick-tock, tick-tock. Come on in and take advantage. I also want to point out that you've only got about another hour and a half to get yourself an absolutely free insurance quote from our great agents over here. Find out how you can save even more money. Find out why we are rated #1. I'm going to throw in a free hat when you get that free quote. It's free stuff on top of free stuff on top of free stuff. So come on over, friends.
Okay, so we got our hole in here now.
She's just like staring at us, and she's like...
And the filler is going to go in there pretty nice. Now, of course, this filler's completely flat, and this tank's not. So we're going to get this in here, and I'm going to get it wiped down here in a second, but right now I'm just going to show you how it lays. We're actually going to tack it on the sides, and the one thing we're going to do first is we're going to take the cap. Now, of course, we don't want to weld this with the cap in it because there's plastic parts, but we can actually figure out, because this cap actually goes in, it's got 2 pins here, locating pins, and it's got 4 here. So it'll go in, and then you turn that and lock it. So if we just happen to randomly throw that in there, our cap's going to be crooked. So what we want to do in this cap, you know, it can go however you like. I mean, most people would put it front to back or back to front. This particular bike, since it's made to go fast and it's going to be out on the salt going fast, we're actually going to turn it around like this. And then when you go to put fuel in it, which I have no fingernails, you flip that guy up, turn it a quarter turn, and lift it out. So what we're going to do is put it back in there, lay the cap down. We're going to get it centered up really nice and neat. And we're going to let Chris actually mark where it's going to go. And that way, at the end of this, when it's crooked, because I know I'm going to weld it in crooked, I can blame him.
Yeah, and I'm here I'm a witness.
Mark's going to come judge our work and look at it. Where'd he go? He hid. He went to take another nap.
How's that?
That looks great.
Good with that? Show Mark.
Yeah, I guess we end up having to fill some around, but anyway.
Yeah, we'll bring some
Yeah, I'm just going to tack it here and here and here and then just go in and weld it. Try to keep it as level as possible. We'll weld it slow. Yeah. I figure actually
work some
we
of that out.
can work that out with the stud gun. Pull that out.
Hey, I don't know that Chris actually. This bike, Warp, he was asking me questions which allude to the conversation you and I were having during the last segment. We started building the War Pony in Long Beach at the first Progressive International Motorcycle Show. And we're building it over the 7-show series. And right at the first show, I said, yeah, we're going to build this and we're going to ride it off stage in Washington. And Chris was like, what? I keep saying that. And he was just saying, so is this thing going to be like painted or?
Right. You have a little bit of time left.
I think so.
But if not, we'll just wire it up. It'll run and we'll ride it down. And then we'll have to de-wire it, disassemble it.
My design, honestly, if everything works out right, it will be completely finished, done, like totally.
We're putting the gas down on it.
So like, since the ultimate goal for this is going to Bonneville, what, like, extra, I mean, obviously, because you're not talking about something that's supposed to go 80 miles an hour down the highway, you're talking about something that's going, whatever, 150, 175 miles an hour. What kind of extra, like, safety steps did you throw in there to make sure?
There's a whole bunch that after we actually build the bike, we're gonna have one of our techs work with the rule book from Bonneville, and whatever needs safety wired, we're gonna go back and do all that stuff and actually prep it for Bonneville. Right now we're just getting the skeleton of it and the design. It'll be painted and pretty and ready, and then he's gonna come in and go through every part that needs done to fit the rule book. Right. But yeah, one of the big questions we have is the way we have the fairing mounted right now, the little windscreen. It's cool, you could take it down the road 120 miles an hour, but if this motor is everything that Danny from Zippers is telling us it's going to be, it doesn't seem like it's going to be real hard for us to hit $150 or more with this bike.
Rip that fairing right off of there.
So we might need to reinforce some of that stuff, and we'll see how it goes.
Hey, you know what we should do is we should just use that fairing as a template and just make one out of metal, because we got plenty of time.
Yeah. Because we're riding it off the stage.
Did Pat just say that?
What's that?
Wooden handle.
Oh, there's a lady, a girl in the audience who wants to know if this is where you actually admit this wasn't supposed to be a Bonneville bike.
That's my wife, right?
Yeah. He just came up with an excuse to go to Bonneville, didn't he?
I'm going to tack right there.
I've got a 1961 Norton Manxman. And it was a 2-year only model that Norton made, export only to the United States. It was ugly. It was red, white, and blue. They painted them all. It's terrible. But it was the first 650 motor that Norton ever made. And they didn't even have heads for it the first year in 61. So they used their 550 factory race heads on it. And I've got one of those bikes at the house, and the frame is toast, front end's toast, but it's all the motor, the drivetrain's all there. And I looked at the record books for Bonneville, and because it was a 2-year only bike, nobody's ever raced one on assault. So I'm going to build that bike, and I'm going to take it out there, and I'm going to get me a land speed record. I only have to go 60, and I get it.
And listen, I'll admit in front of her right now that I hadn't thought of the idea of this being a Bonneville bike. But tell the truth, anybody who's any kind of motorhead, that's in the back of our heads since we're little kids, man, about going to Bonneville. I've personally been fortunate enough to be to Bonneville 7 times and watch motorcycle speed trials. I watched Chris Carr break the motorcycle land speed record in the Bubs number 7. Like, once you get that stuff in your soul, like, maybe in the back of my head somewhere, as this thing was getting smaller and more sleek, I was like, yeah, it's going to be a Bonneville bike. And then one day I just said it, and I was like, yeah, we're just going to take it to Bonneville.
Just take it to Bonneville.
It's kind of like one of those bucket list things. Like, anybody that's into motorcycling, there's always those events that you're like, man, one of these years.
And that's all I want. Look, I'm not looking for a record. I have friends like Jay Allen. He has probably a dozen records at Bonneville and El Mirage. He just got the 200 mile an hour hat at El Mirage. I don't care about any of that. But just to be able, like, I have, from time in the magazine, I have every press pass I've ever got from the magazine, pictures of me, all these great places, to remind me when I'm too old to go anywhere that I did something cool.
Yeah.
There's a spot on my wall for a picture of me running a bike at Bonneville. I have to have that.
You have to fill that
right?
hole.
The
Yeah,
time
man.
slip, like, just have to do that.
And if you've never thought, I'm going through puberty. My voice just cracked. This is going to suck. Puberty's hard. It's hard for me the first time. If you've never had understood the inclination about Bonneville and that, you got to watch The World's Fastest Indian, the movie World's Fastest Indian. And it's about Burt Munro from Australia, New Zealand, that's right. And
Very different thing.
And he comes over and he wants Bonneville as his dream, and he gets there and all the trials and struggles that he has. And just a real moving story, but you'll get Bonneville when you watch that movie.
You know, I'll tell you a funny thing about that, because pretty much everybody knows that story now and has seen that movie. But those stories happen in Bonneville every single year. Every single year there's a guy that shows up that's been waiting to do it his whole life, and he has a whole list of obstacles he had to overcome just to get there. One I can tell you real quick, there's an old boy from Tyler, Texas one year. I'm walking through the pits of Bonneville and I'm looking around, and I see this old guy sitting on the back of a pickup truck, and he has a little Triumph there, and his hat says "Old Guys Rule," all by himself. And I'm like, okay, I got to go talk to him. He's like 80 something, right? I go over, and this guy had been the #1 plate holder in flat track in his lifetime, in flat track racing, you know, had a shop in Tyler, did all this stuff, and he had a stroke. When he had a stroke, he put all his motorcycle stuff behind him. He had promised his wife he would never race motorcycles again. While he's at the house recovering, she brings home the World's Fastest Indian to get him in a better mood. 6 months later, he's in the garage putting the Bonneville together, and she's like, I thought you promised me you're never racing again. He goes, it's not racing, honey. It's just time trials. But that was his story, man.
That's
and like,
it, man.
He overcame his own age, the stroke, the everything, and got there and got to Bonneville, and like his family, it reunited his family around him. They all came out the second year he was there. They watched him set a record. And those things happen every year at Bonneville.
That's cool. That is cool. Yeah, it's going fast, man. Going fast. That's what it's about.
It's not even necessarily like the going fast. Like, I know a buddy of mine lives down in Alabama, and I think his record so far is like 115. Like, by modern standards, that's not very fast, but for him,
Yeah, but what did he do it on?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right.
Is people are taking these like little tiny bikes that should only go 30, 40 miles an hour.
Oh, dude, I saw a guy on a stand-up scooter do 110 miles an hour. Bonneville.
I was gonna
full race leathers, full helmet, 110. Yow!
I was gonna say, 60 doesn't seem fast unless you're doing it on a bicycle. It's like, all of a sudden, wow, that's really fast.
There was another guy one year. I think he did 90 or 100 miles an hour on, those little bikes you get on, the little
crotch or little pocket bikes. Yeah.
Pocket bike. Did like 90, 100 miles an hour on a pocket bike.
Well, I had one of those little pocket bikes for the kids when they were little, and I got on it, and my ex-wife said, "Don't you think that's going to be a little fast?" And I was like, "I don't think so. No, it would hold me," and I rode it. I went like 35 miles an hour. I was like, top speed on this is 35. Well, my kids got on it. My daughter was 9. She weighed as much as my boot. And she got on it, and it would go 60. I was like, okay, I might need to put a governor on there. I didn't think about power to weight and all that stuff. So.
You're doing a really nice job, kid.
Thank you, sir. This is always the time-consuming part. Trying to weld
tell everybody
in.
real quick. I'm going to slide this back so you can tell everybody what you're doing right now. Because one of the biggest secrets to welding TIG with TIG well is what he's doing right here. Constantly
keeping it clean, constantly. Steel's very forgiving. Aluminum is not. You're welding aluminum. This and this is your friends. This is acetone, and a good rag soaked in acetone. You'll weld a little bit, come back. Where you stop, there's going to be contamination because once the argon gas that you use is gone, that oxygen starts to attack that weld. You'll strike an arc there, it'll start to smoke and get black, and it'll actually just really mess up the weld. And a lot of guys out there, I mean, it's one thing I kind of laugh and joke about, Chris and I especially. You see all these like the weld porn sites on Instagram, and all the guys that are welding, they want that pretty beautiful weld. It's not about a pretty beautiful weld. It's about a weld that's penetrated correctly, it's clean, free of contamination, and it's holding the two pieces of metal together. Now, you can come back and do the pretty welds, and the pretty weld is great. Which there are some of them here. I mean, this is going to be a pretty weld all the way around it. But it's fusing the two pieces of metal together perfectly. And the key is, like Chris said, a nice stainless wire brush. What I've done is we started and we tacked here, 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 and here. And then I alternate and I do here, 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 and here, and I keep going in a pattern like that till you get everything locked down. And then you come back in and you'll do a little 1-inch spot, go to the other side, and you keep everything, the cooler you keep it, the better it's going to have a beautiful finished product, and it's not going to be all warped up like
15 minutes.
Big thick steel, you can get away with welding a long bead. The sheet metal, you want to weld a very, very small bead at a time.
You got 5 minutes, Elvis.
5 minutes.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to build the Bronco, and it's going to be a resto mod. It's getting an LS.
You guys are probably pretty interested to hear who won this bike show, right? That's coming up.
But it's going to look like a 68.
Bike show. Wow, I looked right at that. I can't. I don't know what it is about somebody welding something. I have to look at it, and I'll spend the next 2 days sitting there going, "Oh my God."
Aerolite, and do the interior in it in the same kind of clad that the interior will be in.
That's my kryptonite. So RJ was talking about how he does those tacks and he moves around. Another important part of that, the reason why you want to keep moving like that, is it's the nature of when you're welding these pieces together, the metal wants to move. So by moving around, you're keeping the heat moving in equal parts, in equal directions, and you're never going to keep it from moving completely, but by cycling that heat from side to side in different points, it's not going to warp on you as bad. But that's what they say, the nature of a weldment fixture. Five minutes. We can start taking whatever. So
I've already been.
Okay.
We're going to be finishing this tank up here in just a few minutes. And then at 4 o'clock, we are going to do the awards for the JMP Cycles Ultimate Builder Custom Motorcycle Show. Motorcycle show with the longest name in the motorcycle industry.
Okay. Yeah.
God only knows why.
Well,
God, Jeff, and Bob.
Finish up and show them what you did.
All right, here we go, folks.
So basically, what we've got accomplished here, I know it's a bad idea for me to take my gloves off, and Chris is probably going to yell at me because I know I'm going to burn myself.
But it's going to be funny.
We've purposely relocated this center fill and added a different style center fill to this tank. It's tack welded in. Once it's finished welded, it can be body worked a little bit, and it's ready to basically go to paint.
And this part here, you guys are talking about putting the puller rivets in and actually pulling this out.
Yeah.
So this will actually work smooth. Once we get that worked out in metal, you'll hardly even see it before it even goes to the body shop.
Like right here where that filler was, there was a little bit of a low spot, and had I had an hour or so to work on it with a hammer and a pick dolly, I would have pulled that out a little bit. And then Chris did, before we started, when I cut that piece out, Chris actually went over to the anvil and hammered it out a little bit and put a little bit of dome in it. Of course, when you're welding, that dome's going to go away. We're blessed to actually have a stud puller. It's a stud gun. It actually welds on, looks like little pieces of welding wire. And you have a slide hammer puller. You can slide over it. We'll be able to pull that out, no problem, and get it right back up to this, which it's about it's a big 8. Yeah. You know, you could fill it by today's standards with the fillers out there. You could fill it and get away with it. None of us like doing that. We like it a nice smooth. You know, basically a skim coat, good primer.
The
sand
more
it and
filler
paint it.
you put in something, today's fillers are really good. Today's paints are really good. Fillers they're not waterproof, so they'll take moisture.
Correct.
And if for some reason that filler has moisture in it, for whatever reason, before you paint it, and the thicker the filler, the more moisture it gets, it's going to eventually dry out under that paint and it's going to pop off. And so the less filler you can get away with, the better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, filler. I don't like filler. Filler to me is actually silicone bronze. That's filler to me. That's what I like to use.
There you go. Well, all right, folks.
Hey, thanks for having me.
What a treat for being in Cleveland.